aggressors, in this case the North Vietnamese. The key to the situation remains the cessation of infiltration from the north into the south. And the key to the situation remains the clear indication by Hanoi, Vietnam.
Camp Holloway at a place called Pleiku in South Vietnam. Here is found the price of peace, the cost of keeping America's commitment to freedom. Rubble, suffering, death. They are the aftermath of a communist Viet Cong attack in which 8 United States servicemen die. The tragedy of the deadly assault is symbolized by a single photograph in a broken frame. The Pleiku attack is one of 3 carefully coordinated raids that are regarded as the most serious test of wills since the Gulf of Tonkin incident in August 1964. Total casualties number more than 125. McGeorge Bundy, Special Assistant to President Johnson, and South Vietnam's military leader, General Nguyen Can, confer at Pleiku, and their countries agree to strike back. 49 jets from the aircraft carriers Ranger, Hancock, and Coral Sea are sent aloft to carry out the retaliatory mission. Pilots are headed north of the 17th parallel that divides the 2 Vietnams. Their target, Dong Hoi, is a chief staging and supply area for the communist Viet Cong infiltrators. The U.S. planes are careful to keep their sorties within 50 miles of the border. President Johnson emphasizes that the airstrikes are not intended to widen the war. America is responding, he says, to deliberate provocations ordered and directed by the communist regime in Hanoi. The first strike is followed the next day by another mission in which both American and Vietnamese planes and pilots take part. The joint operations mark the first time that 2 countries have combined in retaliating against the North Vietnamese. More than 150 aircraft participate in the raids, which are again centered on Dong Hoi. Again, the commitment to freedom and South Vietnam is spelled out by President Johnson. We will persist in the defense of freedom, he says, and our continuing actions will be those which are made necessary by the continuing aggression of others. These actions will be measured, fitting, and adequate. Our stamina and the stamina of the American people is equal to the task. Sweeping over the Dong Hoi area again and again, the American and Vietnamese planes destroy 70% of their targets. Thus does United States involvement grow deeper. Thus is her determination to remain in South Vietnam more seriously challenged. More than 400 American GIs have died in 4 years of fighting the communist Viet Cong. 25,000 are still waging the lonely struggle in the faraway land. Each new day day brings some new danger, but they fly their missions and do their jobs against a phantom enemy in a hostile climate for a sacred dream spelled liberty.
Washington, 1956. Ahmed Sukarno, President of Indonesia, proclaims the 5 guiding principles of his infant nation.
Immediately we had proclaimed our independence in August 45. We attached as preamble to our constitution the Pancasila. Panca means 5, Sila means principle. The Pancasila, the 5 guiding principles of our national life. Perhaps you know already what our Pancasila is. It gives us the 5 principles of our state. These are: first, believe in God. Second, nationalism. Third, humanity. Fourth, democracy. Fifth, social justice.
The Republic of Indonesia is not one land, but 3,000 islands sprawling along the equator in the far Pacific. An agricultural nation that is also richly blessed with an abundance and variety of natural resources. Rubber from Indonesia makes up 1/3 of the world's supply. Her oil reserves are the largest in the Far East. And yet, mineral wealth has not made Indonesia a rich nation. Independence has not banished poverty, and the deeds of the last decade have not kept faith with the words spoken, the pledges made, when a land and a people became free. The Hague, capital of the Netherlands, December 1949. Membership in the United Nations is one of Indonesia's first steps. We should aim, says Sukarno, at making one family of all nations. Touring the United States, he stands with his son at the Lincoln Memorial, visits the Jefferson Memorial, and speaks in reverent tones of democracy and all that it means to Indonesia. But at home, he welcomes visitors from the communist world, such as the president of the Soviet Union, Clement Voroshilov. And when the Russian leader attacks America and her colonial cronies, Sukarno leads the applause.
Со всякого рода наследием колониализма.
The Indonesian leader says he does not want to take sides in the Cold War. He attends conferences of so-called neutralist nations and listens as Tito of Yugoslavia and India's Pandit Nehru propose a policy of non-alignment. With Ethiopia's Haile Selassie and Archbishop Macarius of Cyprus, he joins in the political pact. Then in 1957, the independence of a British possession, Malaya, sets in motion a chain of events that will result in still another threat to peace in Southeast Asia. For in the new nation, Sukarno sees a rival in prestige and in power. Still, when the nation of Malaya is born, she is only 1/15 the size of Indonesia in land area and in population. But she retains close ties with England, and Sukarno is suspicious, distrustful. The first Prime Minister of Malaya is Tengku Abdul Rahman, a staunch friend and ally of the West. In 1963, with the support of the people and the leaders of Malaya's mixed population, a federation of former British territories to be called Malaysia is proposed. While the move is approved by the voters, Sukarno launches a bitter attack on the proposal as a neo-colonial creation of England designed to encircle and overwhelm Indonesia. The results of the referendum favor the federation, with Tengku Abdul Rahman continuing as Prime Minister of the newer nation. Indonesian reaction is a promise to crush and to destroy Malaysia. The 4 British colonies, Singapore, Sarawak, Brunei, and North Borneo, that merge with Malaya, create a country that is still only 1/10 the size of Indonesia in area and in population. But now Sukarno's nation shares a common border with the Malaysian territories of Sarawak, Brunei, North Borneo. And Indonesia strikes against her neighbor, sending paratroopers on guerrilla missions, waging a deliberate, undeclared war of terror and aggression. In jungles not too different from those in Vietnam, freedom and tyranny are locked in the same mortal combat. The people of Malaysia who ask only to live in peace can find no peace. Indonesian infiltrators have even landed on the Malayan mainland, and families in many areas must come together in communal villages or strategic hamlets to guard against guerrilla raids. A life that is hard at best is made even harder. A people that have suffered much must suffer more. Still, Tengku Abdul Rahman remains steadfast in his allegiance to the West. We want happiness and peace, he says, but we are not neutral. We stand firmly with the free world. The free world, in turn, stands firmly with Malaysia, as Prime Minister Rahman and his nation seek to survive the relentless threats to their new and sacred independence. It is, like Vietnam, a commitment to be kept. Indonesia remains armed and determined. Sukarno trains his troops and repeats his vow, we will crush Malaysia. And as his guerrillas prepare for new air and land assaults, he takes Indonesia out of the United Nations, the first country in history to withdraw from the World Organization. The Pancasila, the 5 principles, belief in God, nationalism, humanity, democracy, social justice,